Hey guys, Omni here. It is finally time for us to dive into the finale of the fall of the House of Usher. And this show has been so much fun, man. Dude, Mike Flanagan, when it comes to TV, I don't think he misses, dude. I know Midnight Club didn't land for a lot of people. I think part of that's on the marketing. I don't think any of his shows have been lacking, but this one has been on point. I still don't know, and we still have this episode left to go. I don't know where I would set this one, man. I still have such a fond place for The Haunting of Hill House. I still think it right now is my favorite of his shows. And this one is a contender, but I'm excited to see what happens. We have a lot of questions still yet to answer, and we got the whole backstory to fill in still that they've been teasing us with from the very first episode. So let's get into it, man. If you want to see the full length reaction, check it out over on Patreon, or if you become a member of the channel, get you access as well. It will be on watch along format, so you will need your own footage to sync up the time codes of our reaction to the entire episode. Over there, you also get to suggest and vote on movies to react to each month. We got monthly Q&As, behind scenes footage, trying to make it worth your while, so you're going to support the channel. But guys, I'd really appreciate it if you enjoy this reaction to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe if you're not already, because it really helps out these videos. And a huge shout out to the team over at Prepper for helping me edit down these highlights for you guys here on YouTube. And with that all said and down out of the way, let's hop into the finale of the fall of the House of Usher. This episode is The Raven. Here we go.
It's really you.
I'm sorry I couldn't accept your resignation. I tried to explain that to your sister, that she wasn't going to change the math.
If I die, this stops.
Which is bad faith, isn't it? She tried to loophole me. There's the opening bell. Rung today by a representative from Fortunato Incorporated.
Ooh. Ooh, man. Oh! God damn, we still have yet to explain this fucking jester. I always forget about it until he pops up again. I completely forgot it was a thing. That's the ringing. Who is the jester? Is that who's buried behind the wall?
The empire is balanced on the head of a pin.
He abused and mutilated my mother, and then went off on drugs, I think, and got himself killed.
Yeah, she's not gonna pump out the lies he wants.
This is about my mom. And if you think you're coming near her with another pair of pliers over my dead body, you ghoul.
Oh, Lenore, let's go.
Want to subscribe to your newsletter?
The board's the board. I don't control them any more
They
than you
wouldn't
do.
dare. Not if they didn't already have it cracked. You brokered this, Arthur. Made your move when? After Vic? Just good math.
This wasn't that.
No, you've been playing the board for days before half of this happened.
Suppose I'll know it when I see it.
I hope you do. See it. I am pretty sure you will.
Oh, he wants him to witness whatever happens next.
Annabelle, she had custody, and I couldn't stand that. So I waited till they were old enough, and I just bombed them with money.
Wow.
And neither the angels in heaven above nor the demons down under the sea.
Oh, interesting.
Less and less of them came back each time until one day they were empty, they were siphoned. What did you fill them up with, Roderick? What did you have to fill them with?
He sacrificed it all.
Maybe this is a kindness in disguise. Maybe they died in their childhoods.
Wow. Whoa.
The man I know, the man that I love, could never. But you're not him, are you? I think I made him up.
My darling, my life, my bride. In her sepulcher.
And then Jester in the car. And then he has that aneurysm or whatever, the nosebleed, and passes out.
time.
You said you'd tell me how they all died. And you did, but you also said you'd confess. There are no more bodies left.
Not yet.
No more skeletons in the closet.
Nope. We're not done. All right, what happened? Let's look for a jester in here. There he is. It's him, isn't it? It's him!
You are my right hand. I told the board, I told the shareholders, you are the best thing that has ever happened to this company.
Yeah.
Ahead of you. You're a sherry man, aren't you?
Holy shit. What is Amontillado?
Powerful wine for a powerful man.
Watch that bottle be mixed with that same nightshade shit that's been all through this show, dude.
It's a Fortunato.
Here.
How did they kill him? Yeah, they are not taking any kind of sips. Look where they are.
This is gonna be the foundation of my new building, which is gonna be 70s.
Oh, that's what's on her finger. She finishes mortaring up all the wall.
If you can get over here, you can do anything you want to me.
Except that challenging.
He's going to, yep, here it is. Yeah, they did. Wow.
Strong, powerful man.
Propped up Roderick after all of this. He's gonna go missing, and his right hand becomes the man himself. Oh, that's dirty.
What is this?
Look, Roddy, he's awake.
Alive, too.
There we go.
Now, I will kill you.
Definitely not then.
And this is before they met Verna.
Whatever you want. Stock options, promotion. How does VP sound?
I was thinking COO.
Yes! Yeah, okay.
Wow, really?
That candle lasts you about an hour or so, then I'm afraid you're in the dark.
This is messed up. He's not talking anymore. You are so small. Wow. Isn't that's what Annabelle said to her too?
I know.
Swear to go now.
Oh, wow. Nice song choice.
You're a killer, aren't you? Both of you. Couple real killers.
You didn't say that.
What else would you call it? I mean, you killed Rufus Griswold tonight, didn't you? No legal consequences. Guaranteed for your whole life. The company is yours to do with what you want. Be altruistic, be charitable, or don't. I just want to see what you do.
I just want to see what you will do.
We're sitting outside of time and space. This is the moment. Luck meets opportunity.
It's a hell of an offer. You're gonna say it costs what, our souls or what?
What if I said you get all that, the whole thing, and the price is deferred? Let the next generation foot the bill.
Oh, wow.
When you're done, at the end of it all, just before you would have died, Roderick, just before you would have died anyway, your bloodline dies with you.
Ooh. And she never had any kids. So it really is all on him at this point.
How long would he live?
He? Not we? No, dear. You two die together.
Oof.
You go out of it together, or no deal. I'm a creature of symmetry.
And that's how she tried to break it, the loophole.
Longer than any man in the Usher family ever has. When that curtain falls, everyone takes a bow together.
Wow.
Those kids would have quite a life.
They'd never want for anything. They could live decades with every luxury,
but
every opportunity.
They die with you, which means their lives are short.
Every usher that exists today, and every usher yet to be born, they will live a blessed, privileged...
But Lenore!
...and depart the stage together.
Is that why you can't face the messages? Because once this ends, she also goes?
I don't even have kids. This is his thing.
You too.
You have a deal.
What the fuck is she?
Seal this with blood or spit, and then later papyrus. But a deal's a deal, all over the world.
Oh, and that's the same bottle he's got right now.
We should settle up.
We just did.
Interesting. I mean, so based on what they just did, the children were going to die no matter what. What was the point of her checking their morality at the door every time and the choices there? Could they have saved themselves had they had been anything but the consequence of them?
Do you think she meant?
And it was, wow, dude. Hell yeah. Whoa.
You said he found her.
Yeah.
Where was she?
Same place she'd been the whole fucking time.
God damn, man. In the House of Usher. Oh, whoa. Well, obviously this didn't work.
I'm leaving now.
Ooh, wow.
You really don't remember me? I was so impressed with you lot. The Transglobe expedition.
Oh.
Circumnavigating the planet.
Wow.
You were the first to do it. The Transglobe expedition. That man in the desert. They left him, didn't they? And there was that woman, too. Not you. You didn't partake. But you saw what they did. So damn interesting. That's why I had to go topside. Had to see the ship go by with my own eyes.
She had to go topside.
The family trust will turn over $4.5 billion, including federal settlement fees, paid in installments over 9 years.
It's a pretty sweet deal.
It's a Christmas present. It's a slap on the wrist that comes with a blowjob.
And you can make this happen.
Oh, no. This will happen without me.
What are you offering?
There's a file. Camille L'Espagne was very good at what she did. She had a file on everyone. Even you. Barely scratches the surface, but the surface alone will get you 20 to life. It gets found.
Oh, interesting.
So you can either ride the phoenix out of Fortunato's ashes, or you can watch it fly away from a federal prison cell.
What are you asking in return?
What do you have, Arthur? I'm not interested in money or property or stock options. True assets. No spouse. No children. No familial connections. At least none that you care about. But everyone loves something. And in that love, there's collateral.
No, I have no collateral. Collateral is leverage, and I won't be leveraged. No man or woman has leveraged me in 70 years of life. I'm not gonna cede that ground. Not this close to the end. Thank you for your consideration.
Wow.
And for your generous offer. I think I'll play out my hand. If it's all the same to you.
Fair enough.
That was a really good scene, man.
Let it all go. I mean, you've got more money than you'll ever be able to spend. Let's put it to work. Try to fix things.
She is an usher. Uh-oh.
There's a lot about my job I love, but there are moments like these that bring me no joy. About your mother. See, she recovers very well now that she's in the clinic. Takes 3 years, more than 100 skin grafts.
Trying to give her solace before she takes her.
When you defied your father, you did that. You saved those people. That choice you made. I thought you should know that.
So who's been texting her, dude?
She died earlier tonight.
That's not possible, Roderick. She's been texting you all night.
Madeline had this project.
Oh. She used Lenore as a test earlier in the season.
She used Lenore as a beta test. Made this Lenore bot a little bit ago. I guess the goddamn thing was activated because it's been texting me all night. Some nonsense.
Nevermore. Wow. I mean, that is very AI bot-like. Just lost Lenore.
Dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken. And the stillness.
Oh.
Eyes have all the seeming of a demon's, as dreaming in the lamplight where him streaming throws his shadow on the floor.
I love how they've weaved all this together, man.
I guess we finally come to it, haven't we?
Take a look.
What the hell?
Those are your bodies.
Oh, wow.
New one every 5 minutes, just in the States, but open it up to the world.
Oh my God.
One last look at your great tower.
Oh my Lord.
You're going to call Auguste Dupin and ask him to meet you.
Ooh. So she wanted him to call August. It wasn't for anything else.
You said that's Madeline down there.
I called you and I came here.
Uh-oh. Who just walked in? Oh, fuck! Who's in the basement? Oh. Oh. Oh.
Roderick?
Whoa, what the?
Roderick, are you
Oh,
here?
wait.
Down here.
Are we slipping back in? Okay. Okay. I think I know how this is gonna go.
We did, didn't we?
We did.
He's not drinking it.
When'd you start bringing this stuff here? Some of this is mine, isn't it?
A few days ago. Same reason the pharaohs did. I mean, this house.
Don't care if it's death herself. She wants Madeline. No, sure. She's gonna have to look
Yeah,
me
listen,
straight.
he knows exactly what he's doing. Yeah. And she can't walk.
Motherfuck.
You're right. You are Madeline Usher.
Oh no. That's what I thought. Oh God. Oh my Lord.
And you're gonna live forever.
Are you sure she was dead?
Not yet. You gotta go out together.
Now you mention it, makes perfect sense. Our mother was the same way. Thank you,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Augie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they buried her thinking she was dead too.
There's no such thing as a painkiller.
Ooh.
I bet I still could have sold it.
Oh my God.
Nevermore.
And there they go. Run, doggy, run! It's gonna poltergeist away, isn't it? Well, not quite. It literally just collapsed, though. Wow. Yes. Ooh. And she's gone. Or not. No, she's still there. Thought she flickered away.
There was a long, tumultuous shouting sound.
Wow.
She completely dissolved it. Fortunato Pharmaceuticals was shuttered, repurposed into the Phoenix Foundation. Every dollar went for rehabilitation programs, addiction and recovery research.
Just as she told Lenore.
She weaned herself off Ligadone.
Hell yeah, man. Oh.
Arthur Pym was arrested a few weeks later after Camille's former assistants turned over a mountain of files to the police.
Oh yeah, dude, her assistants would like.
He surrendered himself at the courtroom and didn't.
He played out his hand.
A word in his defense.
And she's here to observe.
I'm going home.
Finally.
To my husband, my kids.
Fucking finally.
I'm the richest man in the world. You know that?
Yep. It's everything they all lacked in the end.
Be still.
Wow.
To thy weariness shall seem as a burning and a fever which would cling to thee forever.
Aww.
The breeze, the breath of God is still, and the mist upon the hill, shadowy, shadowy, yet unbroken, is a symbol and a token.
And you can just see just how fresh every grave is too.
A mystery of mysteries.
Wow, man. Hell yeah. This show is so good. Oh, the quietest lead in to the title of the season. This was so good. It was so smart, so thoughtful in everything that it was saying and doing. There's so many ways to read a lot of these elements. At the end of the day, I don't think it necessarily matters what exactly she is, even though I'd like to know the actual intent. Initially, like they were talking about, ravens were originally believed to be omens of bad luck or tragedy or whatever, you know, spawns of the devil or whatever. And then they had that rebuttal, which in most other cultures, ravens are bearers of good luck. But at the end of the day, is it luck itself? Because she is the raven. The raven itself, the raven form, could also just be what she takes at any given moment, just because, you know, we're doing a Poe-themed thing the whole time through. And her name is Verna, which, again, which we talked about a long time ago at this point, is an anagram of raven. Is she just an omen of luck? She offers you an exchange, and you make a sacrifice, you make a deal, something to exchange. Like their deal was they could have everything they've ever wanted, the company, riches beyond riches, but at the end of it all, they would have to sacrifice their entire bloodline. That's the thing. She's like, you'd think at the end of the day, I wouldn't have to explain the term bloodline to your family, but unfortunately, it does trickle down to Lenore. She's included in this. This innocent, this person who was the only untainted soul, it seems like, in the entire family, but she still had to take her because of the deal that they made. What were they willing to sacrifice? Who were they willing to sacrifice and step over to fulfill the goals and aspirations they had? You know, Annabelle said originally, and what August said in the end, is it's the things they failed to see. And again, this kind of harkens back to their childhood. They saw their father with all this kingdom, with this nice house, anything and everything they want, and back home where they were ignored by their father. They had their mother, who was just a terror hound, weeping away. They had nothing, and they just watched her wither and die. And yeah, it's just like built the foundation of the trajectory of their lives, man. The way that impacted them, there's so many ways you could just psychoanalyze that throughout this, and how that informed on who they became, how those formative years turned them into who they were, what they put value in the end. From there, they were helpless, they were weak, they couldn't do anything, they were kind of stepped on by this man who had everything and refused to even extend a hand to them, while their mother, who was just constantly just being this kind of force, who was just trying to instill this fear in them, fear, and then fear, and then they would just, it's just like it cultivated these defense mechanisms that turned them into these people. But at the end of the day, they met this entity, which after they had already done what they did, they had already done this crazy thing without any intervention from this entity. You know, everything that they had done with Fortunato, everything they had done with Rufus Griswold up until this point was already said and done before they went into that bar. But the thing is, they were already really willing to go that far, you know? And Verna said, this is her job. But she also said that that souls aren't real and don't exist, which I call a bluff on that. But with everything that she said and how contractual she is, I would have to take that also kind of at face value. I would feel like she's not one to deceive. She's very matter of fact. Like, she's very literal in everything she says, because it's all part of the deal, part of the contract, part of the thing you're signing away. Is she death? Is she life? Is she an omen of luck, a bearer of wealth and riches? Because it seems like she takes from you the things that should matter in exchange for the material. Like, there's an option to choose, and that's why she's like, what do you have as collateral? When she talked to Arthur, objects, items, money, jewels, all that, it's meaningless. We're the ones that put value on that. What are things that we love, things that we cherish? That can be people, that can be objects, but things that we put ourselves into, because he's like, hey, those types of things are leverage. And I was determined to never let anyone have leverage over me, because that's very true. If there is something or someone you care about deeply and something happens to them or whatever, they can play that against you. Something that has a thread straight into your heart, that is something somebody can manipulate and use to control you in certain ways. So he detached himself from that. So he had nothing to offer. He's the only one who was just like, well, we can't barter now, can we? And he reconciled with that. He was fine with that. He was like, he made his bed and he'll play his hand. And that was the most interesting, one of the most interesting transactions or exchanges between these characters, given everything that was going on, especially the way she duped him too. She's clearly this entity and this being, because that's not a story that Roderick would have heard. That's something we as the viewer got to see. And August, even after Roderick was done, after the story was said and told, experienced this entity. So again, it goes to say that while for the long haul of this, it could have been up to interpretation, because a lot of what we were seeing was through Roderick's eyes, through his potential dementia, the things that he was hallucinating, the things that were happening, that was his brain reconciling it. But no, we get these little clues here and there that something greater was pulling the strings, and that something did exist. And I like that about it, because some things could leave it up in the air, and sometimes I like that. I think that can work when there's ambiguity to certain elements of a story, especially when it comes to stuff like this. But I like this one had a little more harder stance on it, which still is why it makes me so curious about what exactly she is. But she feels remorse. She feels lament for the ugly she has to do when it comes to it. And she also feels scorn and anger. She has her own set of emotions. She's not detached from all of that. Frederick, the way she took him out, that was personal. Out of all the ushers who had abused people and done their things, their nastiness, their crimes, and all that, he was the one, because of what he did to his wife, she was like, yeah, you're kind of a fucker, so I'm gonna get a little more hands-on with this one. So yeah, and then with Lenore, you know, it was the opposite. She visited her, she comforted her in the end. She felt remorse for what she had to do, but he's like, this is the part of my job I don't like, is this. So she told her what her legacy would reap in the end. You know, her mother goes on to heal, to recover, and in her honor, in name of your passing, for the choice you made to defy your father and take her out of that situation, that act of selflessness and love, you know, goes on to save many, many more lives. And Juno being able to get out of here, you know, stand up and dismantle this thing that had been controlling and dominated her life forever. You know, these two women were able to get out of it. And, you know, at the end of the day, everything that they built, everything that their empire, like right with them, was dismantled, evaporated, but reborn as something else that they could twist and use to help people, or at least try to mend the wounds that they've caused and wrought upon the world. But at the end of the day, you know, Roderick and them, like, it goes back to what Annabelle Lee had said to him. I thought you were a rich man already. He valued his family. He was there. He loved her. He was kind of content where they were. It's like a lot of it was like Madeline was the kind of the devil on his shoulder a lot of the time. I don't want to put it all on her because he still made his choices. He made his bed. I think she was just able to call out those darker sides that he was probably just really good at burying. It was probably all there. Always there, that shadow in his soul because of their childhood. The fact that they just clung to Fortunato all this time anyway, how easy it was for him to fall right into that play, betray August, and really show his colors to her. And when she was like, I thought you were rich already. We had all this things we love, people we love. And that damnation that he shared and that kind of cancer that he instilled in the children they had together, couldn't win them over any other way. So he basically got them addicted to his wealth, not with drugs or anything like that, but with the lifestyle. You know, they were too young to have any kind of like self-defense against it. The allure of want and need being dissolved by this power that he has that her mother could just never provide. It just really took it all away. And then she took her own life in the end. He took the only riches she had, which was left in the world, was her children, her love for them, their love for her. Oh, and the way she visited him too, and then the way we got that reveal, I guess I won't go into it. I was like, the hole in the back of the head, man. Oh, it's just depressing, dude. A lot of this was sad. But that's kind of par for the course with Mike Flanagan. It really challenges mortality and life and what it really means to live, what it really means to value what we cherish, where we put our hearts, where we put our values. It's kind of a constant theme throughout all of his stories, all of his movies and shows and stuff like that. Like, he's got a very beautiful way of looking at life and also kind of challenging the way others abuse that in a way, which is kind of like what this is. While it is kind of an indictment on capitalism, while it is an indictment on big pharma, hell, even the Hollywood industry gets called out in this, which he's a part of, which is, it's not untrue. You know, he takes shots at himself and the people he works with too. He doesn't pull any punches. You know, at the end of the day, we put so much value in money with all the real problems out there in the world with, just like he said, if we were to shut down Hollywood for an entire year and put all of those resources into something else of value, yeah, it would suck. We wouldn't have movies, we wouldn't have whatever, but it's a minor sacrifice to help the people of the world. But then you have someone like Madeline who's just putting the whole thing on the consumers themselves. They want these things. They want us to, which she's also not wrong either. It's the vicious cycle of the consumer-manufacturer relationship. The provider and the consumer. Us, we want things to be quicker, easier. So like when they need things quicker and easier, it's got to come from cheaper products. They got to make shortcuts, you know, fast food versus a home cooked meal kind of thing. You know, if you want something healthier, you want something better for you, you got to put the time into it. It's like anything else of value. You got to put the time into it. If you're cutting corners or anything like that, which is like it calls me back to like a One Piece line. Is like, if the path to what you want is too short, then you're on the wrong path. And I like that line. It might sound silly, but I think it's a nice little thing that you can't really kind of discount. You know, dodging our pain. Pain makes us who we are at the end of the day. And there's obviously, it's a conversation, it's a spectrum. You know, you can be crippled by physical pain, your body when it's broken, you know, injured. And, you know, you can have perennial pain from certain injuries that just last and last. But there's a difference between complete numbness, elimination of pain. And I talked about this a little bit before. Pain is our body's self-defense mechanism. It's how it tells us to stay away from certain things. If we didn't have our pain receptors and we put our hand in a fire, we wouldn't know to pull our hand back. And then lo and behold, we have just bone and char. You know, if we couldn't feel it, if we couldn't react, get that nudge to pull back, we would burn ourselves alive and never know any wiser. Like even emotional pain, if you try to avoid it and deflect, like with Napoleon, he's like, all the characters were doing their own kind of ways to kind of deflect and move around their individual pain. They never really faced their trauma, their upbringing, how they were kind of forced to be pitted against one another. And the psychological torture that they also kind of inflicted on each other when they segmented themselves between the us's and the thems, the bastards and the pure bloods, or whatever the fuck. You know, they had their own inward kind of way of just separating, fragmenting their entire relationships. Like all these things that they were doing to try to like protect themselves, but at the same time, they are keeping themselves from growing. They are inhibiting themselves from understanding, from healing, from growing beyond the self-destructive nature of all of this. And just on the material level and the immaterial is like the whole kind of forefront of this entire story, you know, where they could have avoided all of this by just being happy with the family they had. But there was always this desire for more, this hunger for what they didn't have. And this, I don't know, it's just like, it was just so really, really well done. And again, that was Verna's currency. She handed out dreams and whatever, the material, but you gave her the things that mattered. It's like almost that bargain with the devil and the crossroads, as they said a couple of times, but I don't believe that she was a devil. Though she did say she came up topside to see Arthur go along on his voyage. Maybe she is a demon. I don't know. But like she has feelings, though. She's not evil. All of this at the end of the day is on the people she's selling it to. So I don't know. It's an interesting ponderance. And I'd love to hear from you guys, your thoughts on her stance in this story. Because at the end of the day, their souls, their lives, for that matter, were forfeit regardless. But she still met each and every one of them and gave them a chance to do the right thing in the end. Would that have changed anything had they chosen something else? Would it have changed the way they went? Would they have still lost their lives, or would she have been able to? Well, I mean, with Lenore, it didn't matter. She still claimed her. So what was the relevance of the choice? Is it in the way that they would have went out? Would she have told them the possibilities of if they made the other decision, given them solace, and in some kind of future, would she have been able to, can she manipulate the outcome? You know, like, I can promise you the riches and all this stuff in exchange for these things. She can do that. But like, if they had chosen the moral high ground in these moments where she was testing them, would there have been something better for their legacy after the fact, regardless of their connection to Roderick? They would still have to die. Their lives were already sold by him. But would there have been something of them left behind that could have mattered? I'm very curious about all of that. There's a lot about this to ponder too. Like, there's a lot of things too. I definitely feel like I've barely scratched the surface of, and I'm sure there's a shit ton that's gone over my head. I can't talk about it all. There's just so much in this. At the end of the day, the richest people in this series was Lenore. I mean, Juno actually loved Roderick, but he never really did reciprocate that, and that broke her heart. She cared about the siblings, but they never accepted her. Like, it's just depressing. And then you have August, who at the end of the day, he was also so focused on them. This is something they've talked about before. He was so focused on bringing down Fortunato and then eventually bringing down the Ushers as kind of his own revenge. as they've talked about, he was barely ever home with his family. But now he's unburdened by that, and like pursuing the case doesn't matter anymore. They're all dead. Who's there to put away other than Arthur Pym? So at this point, the deed is done and he's settled, and he's just like, I'm just gonna throw it all away, and the richest man here goes home to his kids, to his husband, to his life that is still there waiting for him, that he surprisingly didn't lose along the way. Thankfully, he was able to keep that alive, because the way they made it seem too is he was just as obsessed with taking them down, and he was rarely ever home. You know, that also can always bode tragedy for like a relationship like that. It's hard for people in these investigative proceedings, for people who are married to, you know, detectives, cops, soldiers, all these things where your loved ones have to stay away in the long hours of the nights. It's a true test of your relationship and your resolve and your love. And the fact that they made it through all of this together shows how strong that is and just how rich he was. I like that a little bit. I like those little tidbits. At the end of the day, Arthur had nothing to lose at it. You know, he's old. You know, how many days left does he really even have? You know, it's unknown. I mean, I'm sure she knows, but like, he's like, hey, I've done it all. I've sailed the world. I've done all these things. I've done nasty things. I'm not going to defend myself. And this might be the most peace the man's had in forever, to be real. I don't know. It's wild. It's a wild, wild show, dude. Maybe subconsciously on some level because of what happened with their family. It could be twofold, that their strive for immortality. One, he didn't want to end up like his mother. He wanted to prevent that. He wanted to live a long life. But like he said, until this all started happening, they didn't really remember that night at the bar. So was this something that was just always part of their instinct to abate death, to defeat death, defy it, extend their lives as long as they can? You know, with Madeline and her algorithm, with her AI, with this mapping of the human consciousness, a way to live virtually, to transcend your mind into the web, into the virtual space. That was her attempt to kind of, you know, cheat death in a way and become immortal. While in his, it was just, he was just trying to extend life like of the body as long as possible. But he got that heart disease, the very same one his mother had. It was too late, too little, too late. His efforts were always about staving that off and that fear. Maybe not ligadone in its way. It started with what he experienced with his mother and him trying to eliminate that pain from what he experienced and how that crippled her. It started from a good place. It was this kind of idea that I think started off with a legitimate concern and want and desire that was corrupted over time by just the way the world works, unfortunately, to get it made, to make it happen, the things you have to do to make things happen, to play the game, to stay in the game for that matter, with the way Rufus was like pulling his, just manipulating him across the way until they finally got him in their own little trap. And that was messed up, dude. God damn. That was pretty fucking cold. But then he just resigned himself to it too, I guess, in the end, because they were like, I'm surprised I thought he would have been louder. So like he did just kind of give up while they finished the wall. Dude, the show was insane. So well shot, so beautifully executed, horrific when it needed to be. The mood, the vibe. Again, Mike Flanagan, I think he's a master of horror. And I don't like to even call his stuff horror, because it's really just his own kind of reflection of life. It's a shocking and maybe even macabre way of kind of challenging our views of life and death and value. And in a lot of ways, like stuff like Midnight Mass and Hill House and Bly Manor, there's a lot of celebration of life that is very prominent in his works as well. You see that balance here, while the Ushers, you know, they've collapsed, they clawed, they fought to take and take and take. And then you have like August, who at the end of the day, that was just the opposite. You know, we're always counterbalanced out at the end of the day. But this was beautifully, beautifully done, beautifully acted, beautifully written, the sound design, the camera work, the editing. The show's fucking phenomenal. I don't know where I'd put this, you know, at the end of the day, because it's still, I feel like every one of his shows is very distinct, very different in tone and in the way it handles some very similar themes across the board. You know, I still have a strong soft spot for Hill House, but I got a huge bias towards Edgar Allan Poe and a lot of these stories because I knew a lot of these stories. And coming back to that, we finally actually got to the fall of the House of Usher bit. You know, we started off with August, this old friend summoned to the manor of his friend Usher, Roderick Usher, his sister Madeline, roaming the halls, though that was kind of something on the out that they definitely held off. Because in the story, you know, he was also in a decline. I think he also had a disease. It was familial. They both had it. They were twins. And we only finally got that clarification in this episode. Kind of in the last one, it was implied, but we got that confirmation here. Much like in the story itself, you know, it's like he's in his final days. And he calls this old friend he hasn't seen in years to come in and just kind of keep him company is what it was in the story. Here it's that confessional because the relationship is a little bit different here. And like with the mother in the start of this, I can't remember if he drugs her or poisons her, his sister, but much like this, he buries her alive. He knows he buried her alive, I think. Or I can't remember if he knowingly buried her alive or mistakenly buried her alive, but either way, he buried her, and he was constantly starting to hear like scratching, scraping, clawing, and all this stuff until eventually, and rattling, and then eventually she busted her way out of the coffin, made her way to their room where they were sitting down, and much like that, she reached for him, and they both collapsed and died together. I think this show is brilliant in every facet, man. I think it stands right up there with all of his other shows as well. I don't know if I could rank them right now, man. I'm right off the heels of this. I might have to let it set and simmer for a little while. You know, I don't know. I don't know right now. This does really just kind of call to me too because of the whole Edgar Allan Poe connection and the way they kind of reinvented and updated these stories into this interconnected narrative. It was very, very just masterfully done. I need some time to consume this, digest it, and let it absorb. But yeah, I would love to hear from you guys. What did you all think? Sound off the comments. Let me know your thoughts down below. We'll carry on the conversation after the video. Hope you enjoyed this reaction. If it did, leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe if you're not already. Remember, if you want to see the full length reaction, check it out over on Patreon, or if you become a member of the channel, get you access as well. And speaking of before you go, I want to shout out our channel legends. Manny Share, Ryan Karen, Yori Coruscant, Margaret Grace, Melito, Robert Anguiano, Jeffrey Hale, Jake Cantrell, Eric Official, Amy Becca, and Casey Wood. Thank you guys so much for continued support. But that's it for this video, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, everybody.